want to know your wealth profile. If you think about what you're doing today and what you were doing 5 years ago, it's probably something completely different. And 5 years from now, it's highly likely you'll be doing something completely different to what you're doing today. So that becomes interesting when you define yourself by what you do, because that means every few years you change. But what doesn't change is who you are, the integral part of who you are. And so what the wealth profile process does, that's been produced by Roger Hamilton, it's based on the I-CHING, which is a 4,800-year-old manuscript, and that there are 8 paths to wealth. And it doesn't matter whether it comes out of the Myers-Briggs test or a disc profiling test. All of those tests actually come from the I-CHING, the Tao Te Ching, the Book of Changes in English. What are those 8 paths to wealth? Okay, well, we have up here the creators. Okay, the creator is the people that obviously have lots of great ideas. Their question is what? Okay, so great thing about creators, they're great at starting things. Fortunately, terrible at finishing them, because before they've got the thing in place, structure, they're on to the next big great idea. So how do we make sure the creators capture their wealth? Well, they may require somebody else like a supporter. So to give you an example, one of the most famous creators around, of course, is Bill Gates. He's a fantastic creator. He loves to produce software, not so comfortable out in front of people. Or engages somebody like Steve Ballmer to get out and push his products out into the marketplace. Steve Ballmer doesn't create anything, but he loves to talk to people. He loves passionate to driving people to get what they want. So the two of them together are following their flow in what they're naturally good at. And this is really important, because every single person is born with a natural talent. And somewhere along the line, that natural talent gets programmed out of them. So if you can rediscover, in most cases, because most children know what they love, you can see it. Big smiles on their faces, and the minute they start doing something they don't like, they're crying. In this process of rediscovery, we may have somebody over here like a star, say Martha Stewart. Okay, so made it very big by signing up with Kmart in the United States and created a $1 billion empire. Now, one of the problems that entrepreneurs have is that once they've actually created a deal of success for a lot of money, is they may actually start to do things outside their natural talent or their flow. Okay, so in this case, we could come down here to a trader, and a trader is somebody like George Soros. Okay, and George Soros, which is an earth process or autumn energy, okay, they have a natural talent in terms of having a sensory input. They've got great timing. So the people down here are the people that you ask the question, when? Timing. So here's Martha Stewart doing very well as a star. She's a people person. She's getting out there, and she decides to dabble outside the flow and starts doing trading. And as we now know, she ended up facing charges of insider trading and eventually ended up in jail. Okay. Another good example of somebody who moves outside their flow from success would be someone like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, of course, with Apple. He had a fantastic product many years ago, Apple II, and he was trying to also be the CEO of the company. As we mentioned before, creators are great at starting things, terrible at finishing them, and they tend to micromanage the company. So his company was quickly going down the tube, even though he had a great product. So he ended up actually losing his company when he actually found a CEO to actually run the company to keep it going. Steve Jobs was fired out of his company, so then he goes on to create a company called Next, and of course Pixar. And he's one of the few people to actually ever create $1 billion in different companies through each of these processes. And he has now since been invited back to be CEO of Apple. A nice reminiscence process, but he certainly does not run the company, just as a figurehead. Okay, down here we also have a deal maker. One of the most famous deal makers of all, of course, is Donald Trump. Okay, this person here is great at putting people together with certain projects at the right time. Now we've actually completed this side down here, we could actually split this up. This is actually, imagine this is a pyramid, and I've already given you the what, I've given you the when, These people over here are known as the people. That's the who. Okay, so basically, when you're looking at the stars, they're all about people, supporters, once again supporting people like Bill Gates, and deal makers putting the right people together at the right time with the right project. So you could actually put this down over here, in fact, what I call the people, or you could actually have another name for it, are the extroverts, the people who tend to be out there and the life of the party on this side of the base of the pyramid. No, we haven't talked about these people over here. What do these people do? Okay, these people over here are what I tend to call the paper people, okay, or the introverts, okay. These are the people that love, say, for instance, playing with spreadsheets. If you call them up for a cup of coffee, they're going to want to stay home with their spreadsheets. But if you call a person up here who's playing with a spreadsheet for a cup of coffee at Starbucks, they'll be down in a shot, regardless how important the spreadsheet is. Okay, they're people. Yeah, well, let's finish the bottom of the line here. Over here we've got accumulators. Okay, and the most famous accumulator of all is, of course, a man by the name of Warren Buffett. Okay, so what's interesting about these people, by the way, the richest man in the world, the creator, Bill Gates, second richest man in the world, doesn't create anything. He just buys companies. Warren Buffett, notice, created their wealth in two completely different paths. So, what is it about these people down here again? It was the when. So, Warren Buffett, he's about time in the market. He's a buy and hold person. Okay? George Soros, he's also about timing, but he's about timing the market. So, buy low, sell high. And lastly, you've got the deal maker, which is doing the deal at the right time. Here we have people we call lords and mechanics. People are fairly quiet behind the sorts of people. John Paul Getty, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, they actually control big empires from behind. They may not actually own the building, like an accumulator may own the company or own the building. A lord will actually control the process. So in other words, let's say in the IFC building, this would be the person who would go and negotiate a lease for the building at the lowest possible price, then go out, find someone to rent it to at the highest possible price, and they would take the margin. Okay, they would have the lease. They don't own the building, but they have.
Who would be a lord now?
A lord would be John Paul Getty.
John Paul Getty.
Yes.
Okay.
So, or the Rothschilds, or the Rockefellers, or Onassis. Okay. So, and these are not tend to be people. These are the people that are not out in the limelight.
Paper people.
Yeah. In each of those cases, you will probably know very little about the background of those people, other than that they tend to be extremely rich.
But a mechanic then?
Now, a mechanic is the most famous mechanic of all is Ray Kroc of McDonald's.